President Salva Kiir, Excellencies, the 5 Vice Presidents of South Sudan, the Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament, Excellencies, former Presidents of Central African Republic and Mauritius, Cabinet Ministers, senior officials of the UN system, members of the Diplomatic and Consular Corps, Chief Justice and Justices of the Supreme Court, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Let me first thank the Deputy SRSG, Madam Sarah Baslow Nyanti, a firm, strong, and dynamic Liberian woman out there with the United Nations system, serving in various capacities. Your work with the government and people of South Sudan, most especially with the women, will yield the dividends of peace in due course. Thank you for the invitation to join the women of Africa to celebrate these milestones with the women of South Sudan. As a founding member and patron of the African Women Leadership Network, I congratulate you for this stride for peace amongst the women and people of South Sudan. We are made proud each day when we learn of what looks like giant baby steps taken by the strong and resilient women of South Sudan to keep Africa's newest country as one big unit. We are reminded each day of the strength of the women of South Sudan at the levels of communities and households. Each day, a family that transitions from a refugee camp to home is a sign of commitment to peace, to stop the village we're going. One woman, one man, one way. For the basic unit in society is grounded in a foundation of peace. And at the
recording in progress,
33% representation. Congratulations to our woman speaker and the 8 women who serve as cabinet ministers today. The rebirth and building of a new nation for a proud people who are amongst the oldest living African tribes, men and women, a people who have witnessed years and various forms of oppression and deprivation, a people who have subdued phenomenal challenges which could have been insurmountable. I congratulate. However, we need to take stock of the things that must be addressed in order for South Sudan to rise above its challenges in the fullest of terms. South Sudan is our continent's youngest republic, and as such, we all have a responsibility to support nation building. Many women still face multiple and intersecting forms of discrimination and barriers. Some 2 million women are said to be malnourished, and nearly 75% of girls are said to be illiterate. Conflict-related sexual violence has increased at around 45% of girls are said to be married before they reach the end of secondary school age of 18. Education of the girl child is paramount. And we must work to ensure that every child, especially every girl child, has quality education. That will be one of the key secrets to your success. We need to remind ourselves that rape is one of those challenges that have been used as an age-old weapon of war over the years. Writers and political advocates have described men who engage in such conduct as men who have never left the transient stages of early men, and by their nature remain bestial, seeing women and girls only as sexual objects, who use rape as a weapon, only try to conquer the power of a strong woman's mind. Today, we witness a few factors that will help expose and continue to underpin women's vulnerability. Women's lack of access to sanitation has been a source of vulnerability and has resulted in many women in IDP settings being violated. I do hope that this conference will take the time to discuss climate, the environment, and sanitation, as well as water and other natural resources management, and the role of women therein. Women must be empowered, because if not, they will have limited access to economic opportunity and social services. South Sudan needs its women to grow so that it will grow as a flourishing nation. Distinguished delegates, participants, ladies and gentlemen, I need not remind you of the important role of women as game changers. Many of you women who are there, what you do when giving opportunities and when protected in a socioeconomic and political system. We all can bear witness to the strong message which continued to resonate, as was highlighted during the recent ecumenical pilgrimage of peace by His Holiness, the Pope, to South Sudan. The Holy Father said, women and children should be respected, protected, and honored, as they make up most of the population. This must be a watch phrase, which we all must repeat every day and in every way. Women and children must be respected, protected, and honored. We are of the firm conviction that where women are given opportunities to develop economic space to be productive and an enabling environment to drive the peace process at national, state, BOMA, and PM levels, then South Sudan will be peaceful. And it will transform before our very eyes. All efforts and initiatives should ensure that the perspectives of women and girls are reflected and that their needs and experiences inform the peace and development aid agendas going forward. In my discussion with Vice President Rebecca Garang, she reflected on the Liberian experience and for South Sudan to learn from our experience. And I have committed to work with the various stakeholders to achieve this objective, starting with our participation in this conference. I also want to use the opportunity to remind all stakeholders and civil society actors of the shrinking civil space for the human and women rights defenders. Their advocacy role for women's space in areas of economic, political, and social transformation and changing social norms remain critical and must be guarded. We call upon all actors here, both local and international, about the need for concerted efforts from all concerned to ensure that we protect and jealously guard civic space and human rights defenders. We also like to stress that there are those other negative variables which sustain pervasive gender inequalities. We have a duty and civic responsibility to work towards shifting entrenched social norms. Over the long term, with new forms of education, progressive information, and putting to good use developing technology and communication, we hope to enhance and help effect change for the better in the new South Sudan, with women and children at the center. We acknowledge and recognize those obstacles and barriers which women face, particularly in rural areas. Thus, there is the need to reflect together on what more we can do to support these women. We must all join our forces to call for more support to rural communities to strengthen their resilience, applying a gender-responsive approach, understanding the specific challenges faced by women and men, and equally engaging both women and men in community planning, decision-making, and leadership. Women must be empowered to have a say in the decisions affecting their communities and their livelihoods. Priority should be given and directed to those aspects that reduce women's socioeconomic burdens, workloads, and hardships. The family should then be placed at the center of their universe. This is where society and governments are shaped. In the great building block of society, this is when a nation achieves sustainable peace and security. The foundation is made solid in the family, with women as family and nation builders. I believe and I congratulate the women of South Sudan. Let us all continue to stand side by side with them and them with your men to build a prosperous nation that you all deserve. In closing, let me wish you fruitful deliberations. Let me wish you strong, resilient women of South Sudan to continue to give your voice, to continue to stand for those principles that enable you to challenge all of those inhibitions that have kept you down. I look forward to joining you in person in another occasion in the near future gathering. Thank you to all you brave women. Thank you to the people of South Sudan.